This is What's Wild in New Hampshire by wildlife biologist Derek Orp. I'm with Cherie Patterson, the chief of the Marine Division at the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department. We're down at the Region 3 office. And look at the new decorations here. It's changed since I left here 16 years ago that I retired from this very building. And Cherie, she's still here. I started in November of 1976, and you started in January of 77, I think.
Well, I started in 77, yeah.
Yep. So shortly after me, and here she is, the chief of the Marine Division. Today we're talking about what's cooking on the coast. So that's, I guess, I was looking for a theme. What's cooking on the coast? Well, we know the Gulf of Maine is cooking, but so today we're going to talk about stripers. There's a striper up there. Cherie, I just read in the paper there's some changes to some of the regulations on stripers, on haddock, and you just said mackerel. So let's walk through what's happening for the summer of 2023 for New Hampshire's sportswomen and men and those that buy the saltwater license. So let's slow down. Let's start with stripers. What's going on with stripers? I heard there's some kind of emergency regulations that maybe be imposed.
Yes, the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission voted at the last meeting to impose emergency regulations.
When did that occur, that meeting?
April.
Okay, so just within weeks.
Yeah, not too long ago. To reduce the recreational harvest through emergency action. Due to the 2022 recreational harvest year was very high. It's higher than what was modeled.
How's that gauged? How do you come up with those numbers? Just a brief sentence.
By doing the recreational fishing surveys that are conducted.
So when you show back up at the boat ramp after you've been fishing here in New Hampshire, you've got a fish and game staff person there asking you questions. And here is the results of those questions. The population trends are tracked that way.
For recreational,
Yes.
Commercial, it's under a quota system, so they're tracked differently. So due to this emergency action, we will be reducing the slot limit for recreational catch to be between 28 inches and less than 31 inches. And this is to protect a larger year class that's out there, the 2015 year class, who are about 8 years old.
Okay.
And they are around that 31-inch range from length. So we want to protect that particular year class.
Because it was a good one.
It was a very good year class, and all the other year classes have been poor recruitment. So we want to make sure that this 2015 year class is preserved somewhat to be able to get some more spawning in over their lifetime.
Okay.
To hopefully have better recruitment in the future.
When will that change be implemented?
That change will be implemented very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yes.
You have some other hearings, did you say?
So ASMFC has 2 more hearings. There's been 4 total. There's one tonight between 5 and 7, and the other one is...
Whereabouts?
It's online.
Okay,
If you go to the
online.
Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission website, then you'll be able to see the virtual meeting schedule.
Okay.
And how to join on the virtual
Oh, wow.
platform.
Nice. So you could lend your voice or concerns.
Correct.
All right. So stripers change, big change for this year. How about haddock? The recreational fishermen. I know there's also some changes going to be in the commercial side, but how about haddock?
Yes, haddock is also a cod, and the haddock complex is definitely also being watched very carefully, and there is an emergency action brought forward to NOAA by the New England Fishery Management Council to address haddock harvest, catch, I should say, due to a much higher catch than again was expected. And so there has to be adjustments to assure that you have the haddock population and the cod populations out there to maintain their recruitment abilities. And
Any sense what those changes will be yet?
no, No, it'll be sometime soon in this year, but I don't know.
Okay, so it'll be ongoing over the next few weeks, probably.
Probably.
Other species, you mentioned,
Atlantic mackerel is another species that is managed by the Mid-Atlantic Fisheries Management Council and NOAA Fisheries. And that is a species that is experiencing overfishing and is overfished. So it's got the double whammy right now. And it just so happens that the mackerel catch within the Gulf of Maine recreationally has been very, very high. So those regulations of 20 mackerel per day, a possession limit
okay,
of 20 mackerel per day per person will be in effect also shortly.
wow. So some changes for our fisher women and men for the summer of 2023. Pay attention, these have not been all implemented, but they will be. How will folks find out about these?
We'll be posting it online when, through our media outlets.
Okay.
When the changes are.
Chance for me to come back and talk to you.
Yes, there you go. Yep.
We've worked together for a long time. I've enjoyed our friendship for all these years. Anything else cooking in the Gulf of Maine besides the Gulf of Maine?
Well, the Gulf of Maine is one of the fastest warming waters in the world right now, one of them. So it's
Clearly impacting some of the species, probably.
probably.
Guessing because we don't actually know, but things seem to be happening.
Yeah, some of the species we know, like your northern shrimp, we know that climate change is affecting them. Likely cod too, but as you could see, other species may be affected on a longer time frame.
Now, we also talked a little bit about the herring run. How are the herring populations in New Hampshire right now? We're in the middle of the herring run, the river herring, and has the run been good this year? And can you take any herring for bait here in New Hampshire by our fishermen and women?
No, New Hampshire's river herring runs have been were lower than expected about 3 years ago, and it was a period of those 3 years that we fell below our trigger to maintain a sustainable fishery.
Okay.
So we actually have a sustainable fishery management plan that we, because of the low runs, we had to close down all netting.
All netting.
All netting.
You can still snag one?
If you snag one, yeah.
You can
that's
use it for
fine.
bait, so you have to snag them, okay?
But you can't be
Netting,
netting them, you can't be doing anything on a commercial venture with them at all.
okay.
So we hope that the runs have been better over the last 2 years, and we hope that they'll continue to increase
Okay,
over the next couple of years. And the Sustainable Fishery Management Plan recommends that we close it for 5 years, which would be one generation
Okay.
of returns.
all right.
So we're going to abide by that as best we can and
Try to-
open up
try to
within
bring 'em back.
another 2 years, if not sooner, if at all possible, depending on the returns that are coming back.
As you said, management of these ocean fishing is very dynamic, really from year to year based on trends. Smelt, there was, of course, we had a very warm winter. Was there any ice on Great Bay last winter? Was there any winter smelt fishing on Great Bay last year?
Boy, I don't remember seeing any surveys being conducted on ice this winter.
Cherie and others have ventured out there in the dark of the night on the Great Bay for years and years. The ice was never good, even when it was good, as I recall. Risk life and limb that checks the smelt fishermen for decades, really. And how about pogies, menhaden? Anything happen on the menhaden scene? We got some showing up that we didn't have for years. We got schools of
Right.
menhaden now that were gone for a long time.
Yes.
So that's kind of
The
a
Atlantic
plus.
menhaden have been in our waters, probably for the last 3 or 4 years in abundance.
In the numbers, nice.
Yes, they're off of Massachusetts. I presume that we'll be seeing them off of New Hampshire shortly and off of Maine shortly.
Can you net or snag those?
Yes, yeah, you can get a coastal harvest permit and net for Menhaden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And use those for bait.
All right. So lots of changes for the summer of 2023. The Marine Division staff here is keeping their fingers on the pulse of New Hampshire's ocean fishing, our stripers and haddock and cod, rattling them off one after another. I can't think of another fish that I need to ask about. So staff down here, which I worked with for years, awesome crew down here. Cherie, thank you very much. We appreciate the updates and can't wait to get out there ourselves and catch a striper. So this is wildlife biologist Eric Orr for what's wild in New Hampshire.